Hey, hey, what's up, podcast listeners? Welcome back to the What's Up Castleberry podcast. It's Andy and Drew here. We are excited. Episode number 38 of our little podcast and the little engine that could. Andy, you and I are residents of Castleberry, Florida. We are local pastors in the area. We love talking about all things Castleberry and love our slowly but surely growing podcast talking about Castleberry and Seminole County related things. I missed you guys last week, you and producer Robin. I went away on a little vacation, but I'm back. I'm ready to go. Almost time for Halloween.
I got to tell you, Drew, we didn't miss you because Robin just stepped up and just carried it like a pro. It was incredibly impressive.
I listened.
So she has raised the bar for you today.
I am nervous for my standing, my position. Robin, great job.
Thank you. Just don't be alarmed when you're completely cut out of this episode.
Well, hey, it's we're only a week or so out from Halloween. Are y'all celebrating? You dressing up as anything this year?
I won't be. I am not a big dresser-upper. I will probably wear my standard costume as the pasty white, middle-aged British guy, which I have perfected over many years. So I will continue with that. But I am excited about Halloween and just before Halloween, because, Drew, we're going to be part of the school's Halloween trick-or-treat, drive-by, socially distanced, super safe thing. And What's Up Castleberry is going to have a car there from which we'll be giving out invitations to listen to the podcast, candy, and people will get a chance to meet you and producer Robin. It's going to be very exciting, right, Robin?
It is. And just to clarify, that super safe thing is called a trunk or treat.
Yes, I wanted to emphasize safe because apparently that's what we need to do in these unsafe times.
That's right. We will be there. It's Wednesday, October 28th at Castleberry Elementary School. I think it's like 5:00. Come on out. We'll give you some candy. We may even give you an interview or an invite to be a guest on the podcast. Who knows?
Let's not move too quickly away from the question of costume, though. Drew, what are you thinking in terms of costume?
I'm going to give a teaser. You've got to come out to the events, the trunk or treat event on the 28th to see my costume. But I will say that this is our first Halloween with our baby boy. And my wife and I have been talking and going back and forth. And I think we've got two options that we're weighing, and I'll share them with our friends on the air. One that I'm more leaning towards is like a Mario and Luigi.
Classic.
With probably he'll be Mario, I'll be Luigi. And then the other option, we've got some dear friends that have a son that's just a couple of months older, and neither of our sons are able to walk yet. So we thought maybe we'd get a wagon and put some white balloons in there to kind of look like bubbles and tape them so it looks like the boys are in the bathtub together. So one of those, hey, how about this? Comments, which one, Mario and Luigi or baby bathtub? Give us a comment. Let us know what you think and vote.
You have thought about this way more than I have. But Robin, I'm curious. What are your costume plans?
Well, I usually wait till the last minute, but I'm leaning towards a pumpkin. I just want to be a pumpkin.
Again, another classic.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Andy could never be because, again, he's too pale. He cannot be.
And are you saying I'm orange?
Give a nice glow to you, Robin.
There you go. Good save, Drew.
Well, Andy and Robin, let's spend a minute looking at our Castleberry in the News segment. We want to highlight things that are going on in Castleberry, both newsworthy subjects as well as some inspirational types of things. And I think this is more on the inspirational. Bittersweet, we lost a stalwart member of our community not too long ago. Tony Tizio was an active member on the Planning and Zoning Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, was always out and about at events in Castleberry. You might know Tony. He had cerebral palsy and was in a wheelchair scooter and would often wear his fedora, but very proud member of Castleberry. Tony has since passed away, but there is an effort and a memorial fund created through GoFundMe. So you can look up the Tony Tizio Memorial Fund on GoFundMe. And the purpose of that fund is to highlight our parks in Castleberry, and the city is working together towards creating some more handicapped and disabled concepts to both the existing parks and even potential new parks.
I love it. I think it's a very fitting legacy for Tony as well, because he fought so hard to make our community, our world, as accessible for everybody, regardless of what their disability may be. I was at the commission meeting on Monday night, and I've got into the habit of going to those, and it's always interesting to find out how our city runs and what's happening. And one of the things that was suggested was that in Tony's honor, we do that, as was some of his requests. But also we talked about how do we, as a community, honor those who give of their time and energy and effort and things like that. And the city had some very creative ideas as to how to celebrate people who are making a difference in our community. And when they suggested that, it was very honoring to Tony, and I was pleased about that. But I was also thrilled that our city is realizing something that they've known for a long time, and we've known too, that a community is made up of lots of different elements. And while the city government has to make a lot of the big decisions, it takes all of us to make a healthy community. And I was really just impressed that they were reaching out and making a statement that everybody in our city is part of the community, and we all have the opportunity to make a difference and to further and better this place where we live.
Excellent. Yeah, very well said. And Andy, I think that perfectly ties into, just want to reiterate a new concept that we have here on the podcast, something that we've been highlighting for several episodes now. We are creating and establishing a community member of the month. We are celebrating those who are serving, who are leading, who are inspiring those in our great city of Castleberry. A man like Tony Tizio would have been a great potential recipient of this award. And we're looking to highlight those who are doing much to make Castleberry just such a wonderful place to live. So if you have someone that you would like to highlight, nominate to be our inaugural Community Member of the Month, that's right. In fact, we haven't talked about this, but I'm going to mention it now, put it out there that we're hopeful that on next week's episode, we will announce the first ever winner of the What's Up Castleberry Community Member of the Month. So let us know through our Facebook page, our Instagram feed, our podcast news feed, our website, all named What's Up Castleberry. Let us know who we should highlight as the Community Member of the Month. All right, today's sponsor, again, is All In Construction Services. All In offers beautiful home remodeling, renovations, and additions. All In Construction has been around since 2008. They are all about this community and helping with your home renovation needs. Check them out at allinconstruction.com. We'll be back with our guest.
Welcome back, listeners, to our favorite part of the podcast, the part where we interview a special guest, someone who is a part of our community, who is making a difference in a real and tangible way. And we have a very special guest today, Jenna Smith from CSL Plasma. And we wanted to chat with Jenna at the recommendation of a community member, because in these COVID times, donating plasma and other bodily fluids has been so important as we help one another and as we work towards a cure and things like that. So we wanted to dig into that a little bit, see what that's like, and see what Jenna can tell us about what they're doing. Is really they're on the front end of making a difference in this difficult pandemic time. But Jenna, before we start, we have this little thing that we like to do with our guests just to take away some of the nerves and the butterflies and just to get to know you in a relaxed way. So Drew and I will lead you through a little icebreaker lightning round where we'll just throw some simple questions at you and you can have some fun with them. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Jenna, welcome to our podcast. I am currently holding my Chipotle cup in my hand. So first question, what is your favorite place to eat?
My favorite local place, I live in New Smyrna Beach, and there's a Mexican place called Clancy's. That's my favorite. Every time I go there, I always get pineapple quesadillas.
You had me at Mexican.
You have me at pineapple. I love it. What was that place called again?
Clancy's Cantina. It's on Flagler Avenue.
Clancy's Cantina. I am definitely going there next time I head to New Smyrna. All right, next question. You work in a medical facility, and one of my experiences of medical facilities is that I spend a lot of time in waiting rooms. What is your favorite magazine to read while you would be waiting at a doctor's office?
My favorite magazine to read would be anyone that has a lot of recipes that I will never make.
Very nice. Just looking at the food, though, I can tell like we're akin in that. Like to look.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that would work for me, though, because often when I go to the medical offices, I've been fasting, right? And so looking at food and recipes while fasting, I don't know if that would help my state.
We are a podcast that loves to give inspirational quotes. Do you have an inspirational quote or any advice that anyone's given you that was impactful?
One of my old managers used to tell me that if it's not going to matter in 5 years, not to spend more than 5 minutes getting mad about it or thinking about it. And though I don't always listen to it, that was one that had stuck with me.
That is some great advice. I'm going to make a note of that and share it with some people I know who could take that advice as well. Yeah, Jenna, you said you lived in New Smyrna Beach, but what's your favorite place to rest and relax? What do you do when you need to tune out for a little bit?
Well, this might be an obvious answer, but my favorite place to relax is definitely at the beach. However, now I have a toddler, so it's usually running around, but in my mind, I'm relaxing.
Very nice. Yes, the young children, I have one, my wife and I ourselves, and it's few and far between those moments of rest, but hopefully you'll get to the beach soon. Yeah. Well, Jenna, tell us a little bit about what you do and about CSL Plasma. What do you love about the job? What's your role there?
I'm one of the assistant center managers. I actually started here as a nurse almost 5 years ago. I love that every single day is different, but it's rewarding. Our center has 35 employees, and each one really is a piece of an important puzzle. And as managers, sometimes we're working in the production areas, we're doing the phlebotomy and processing units in the lab. Some days we're working on marketing, budgeting, employee scheduling, or attending or planning meetings and events. So it's always something.
That's kind of what managers do, right? A little bit of everything very often. How long have you been with CSL?
Almost 5 years.
Okay. And I was looking at your website, and obviously I'm familiar with your branch right on the edge of our community. But I noticed there's a whole lot more to your organization than just the Castleberry Longwood office. Can you tell us a little bit about the scope and size of the organization, maybe a little bit about its history? Because I think folks would be interested in knowing some of that.
CSL Plasma has over 270 plasma collection centers, but the other part of it is CSL Behring, where they're manufacturing medication. So CSL actually stands for Commonwealth Serum Laboratories, and that was established in Australia in 1916 to service the health needs of a nation isolated by war. CSL Behring can actually trace its roots back to Emil von Behring, and he was an innovator with serum therapies, and he won the first Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1901. So definitely all of it goes back a long way, and CSL Plasma is opening more and more centers every year.
That's quite a backstory. That's really incredible. I haven't had much experience with plasma donations until recently, when my wife, who had and has recovered from COVID, wanted to make a difference with some of her antibodies and decided to go and donate some plasma. My understanding of how the whole process works is very, very limited to that isolated experience. Maybe you could share with us, what are some of the benefits of donating for both the giver and the recipient on the back end of things?
For the recipient, the benefit is definitely the end result, which is that life-saving product that they receive. So as I was talking about CSL Behring, that's our parent company, they use human plasma to produce therapies that are used around the world to treat bleeding disorders, primary immune deficiencies, neurological disorders in certain markets, and their products are even used in cardiac surgery, organ transplantation, burn treatments, and more. And with COVID, CSL is actually also one of the founders of a plasma alliance that was formed to create a non-branded hyperimmune globulin that can serve as a potential treatment for COVID-19 patients. So there's all different kinds of plasma centers, and where we normally compete with them, we're currently working with them right now on that, which is really cool. Of course, the benefits for the giver, not even just doing a good thing, but they're also compensated for their times. Right now, donors can receive close to $500 a month, and COVID recovered donors can actually receive up to $800 a month.
Oh,
wow.
we didn't get that much. My wife must have been doing it wrong.
Wow, that is I love the partnership and nationwide, the impact. Jenna, is there any testimony, maybe obviously don't mention anyone's names, but any positive impacts like close to home in this community of hearing about, hey, so-and-so donated and it impacted someone else locally?
One thing that I love about this company is that every single plasma center has one or even more what they call adopted patients. And they're real patients that use these products. And from time to time, they visit the centers in person. They'll meet with the staff and have lunch with us. They'll walk around the center to talk to donors, which really helps the donors open their eyes to what they're doing. Because sometimes, you forget about where that plasma really is going. Unfortunately, with COVID, the visits were on pause, but the company is constantly sharing new stories with the entire company about new patients. And they actually just sent us a story about a 7-year-old right now who's using the products for immune thrombocytopenia.
Wow, that's amazing. And to follow up with that, Jenna, you've mentioned COVID a couple times. Obviously, that is just such a huge issue and affects every sphere of life. Could you speak to how donating and collecting plasma has been affected and changed in light of COVID-19, and maybe even flesh out a little bit for our listeners why plasma is needed so much more now than other times due to COVID?
COVID definitely brought a lot of new changes. And it was hard at first because, it was all that you heard on the news and the radio every second of every day, what it felt like. Our employees were scared, our donors were scared. There was new changes to our procedures very frequently, but we got through that and we're still getting through it. Some new things that we're doing is that all the donors and employees have their temperatures taken and they have to wear a mask. The workstations and donor beds are cleaned after each donor. We're practicing the social distancing and have the beds spread 6 feet apart. And even in the employee areas, there's plexiglass, in the break rooms and in training rooms where, people might need to sit together. The problem with COVID, though, is that looking at our numbers, this exact week last year, we were doing between 200 to almost 300 donations a day. However, since COVID, those numbers have been cut in half, if not more. So we're really struggling to help supply the plasma to get these medications made for our patients. And this is where we really need help getting the word out, about us.
That's an unfortunate dichotomy, right? That at a time when you need donations the most, people are coming the least. So
Yeah.
I would just join you there, encouraging our listeners to go and give. I mean, we've all got plasma. We can spare it. We can make a little bit of money, but most of all, we can really help someone as well. Jenna, you've used some long words in answering our questions today, a few of which I'm sure Drew didn't understand. So for his sake, could you kind of like dumb it down for, well, me, and just talk to us about how the process works of giving plasma. So imagine I've got some plasma I want to donate. I guess I call and make an appointment. I pull into the parking lot. What happens starting then all the way through the process of that plasma hopefully healing another person?
So if you came to the center as a new donor, you'd be greeted at the front desk. New donors have to bring in a valid ID and either their social security card or W-2 so we can verify their identity. After that, we create a profile for the donors. They're given a fingerprint. Then they're given a consent to read, as well as watch an informative video about the process. After that, the donor will then complete a health history questionnaire, which is actually done every single visit, and have their vitals taken, and those need to be within an acceptable range. And then the first visit, new donors will have a basic health assessment performed to determine overall suitability and verify any medications or conditions. So we have on-site paramedics, LPNs, RNs for that. After that is when the donor would actually go to the donor floor for the process. Following the initial venipuncture, the machines here, they go through several cycles where first it will draw the blood. That blood spins and separates plasma into a pooling bottle, and then the blood is returned to the donor. So, the plasma is the clear part. We're giving back the part that actually looks like blood, and that's how you're able to donate twice in a 7-day period. From there, the bottle's taken to the lab where they have a sample pulled from it, and then it's placed in the freezer. The samples and the units are then shipped to Texas and Indianapolis, where they're tested for viral markers and things like that. And the units are stored until it's ready for the next step in the manufacturing process. So that process is long. There's a certain amount of time that the plasma can't be touched yet. And we also cannot use the plasma unless there's at least 2 donations by that person. So that's why it's always very important that donors do come back for that second donation.
Wow, that was very clear and informative. And I love that there's just a nice, easy kind of plan for those that donate. I confess, I get a little nervous around needles, Jenna, and a little squeamish. In fact, it makes me think of one of the podcast favorites that we quote often is the show The Office. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch it, Jenna, but there's an episode where the boss donates and he says, I was so nervous before going to donate that I didn't eat for 3 days. I'm guessing that's not a good idea. We probably should not do that if you're considering donating.
Definitely not.
What are some things and ways that you can, though, reassure those of us who, would love to help, would love to donate, to make sure that, like, some little tips along the way, how we can be reassured that it's not so scary?
Well, I'll start by saying that pretty much every single donor always says they hate needles, but, they come in anyway. So it's definitely doable, even if you hate needles. And here we just really strive to have the best customer service. Every step of the way throughout the donation process, our staff members are engaging with our donors. They really become like regulars to us, and they use their knowledge and training to provide tips for a successful donation. And, on the donor floor, we're required to hold a specific ratio of employees to donors so that we can ensure the donors are being monitored and they're taken care of efficiently and safely. And should any donor have an adverse reaction to the process, both our phlebotomists and medical staff associates are trained on handling and reversing this.
I'm glad that most of your patients say they don't like needles. I'm thinking the patients that do say they like needles are probably not the ones that you want to draw fluids from.
Right.
Another word of advice, as well as eating before you go, from our experience that my wife learned, is drink a lot of water before you go as well. That certainly helps. Many people have the perception of plasma centers perhaps as places where a certain kind of demographic of people go, maybe just to get some easy cash. But I understand that that's not the kind of bulk of clients who come to see you. And there's lots of folks who come to see you because they want to give back.
Right. Most of our donors really are just hardworking people who just want to make some extra cash, whether it's for gas money or anything like that. And our busiest hours actually are between 4 to 7 p.m. And that's when a lot of our donors are getting off work. And we're usually, calling it happy hour or power hour because they're all just coming through the door really fast then. I've had a lot of donors tell me that they donate just to give, the prepaid debit card to their kids to use. So, being able to help save lives at the same time is very rewarding for them. And we have college students all the way to senior citizens that donate.
That's awesome. And I've heard as well that many people who have been through various health issues and concerns, once they've recovered from that, they will want to come and almost say thank you by giving back of their fluids to help another. And I think that's just tremendous. And it speaks well of the people who do that. So we've talked about some things, honestly, Jenna, that have been pretty gross. Right. But there is another side to what you do as well. And I know that you like to make the process fun and engaging, both for the donors and for your staff. What are some of the lighter things that you do to care for and cater for your donors and staff?
So we have a lot of frequent events and giveaways for our donors. We raffled off prizes like Yeti coolers, bikes, theme park ticket packages. Just a few months ago, we were out on the floor playing bed bingo, where we would draw a number and the donor who was sitting in that bed won a $100 gift card. This past week, we actually set up a pumpkin patch in our waiting area. We had hay and caramel apples and everything like that. And the first 12 donors on select days got to take home a big pumpkin. And, we really do the same for the staff too, because we're constantly trying to keep the mood light at work, especially during these times. And we do prize raffles for the employees and provide lunch and snacks frequently. And we're actually about to have our own Spirit Week here in a few weeks. And we'll be doing a pumpkin carving contest, pajama day, crazy sock day. And our favorite thing to do in the center is have a grilled cheese bar set up.
Nice. I might just come for the grilled cheese. I love that you're doing that because, like you say, it is a difficult time and it's a very serious time. And what you're doing is serious work. But the more that you can just encourage and thank and bring some levity and joy to our community and certainly to your employees as well, speaks so well of you and your organization and the culture that you have there. Jenna, we've got to wrap up our conversation. We do thank you so much for joining us. But before we go, perhaps you could share with our listeners how they can find out more about you, about CSL, website, email, social media, those kind of things.
So people can find out a lot of information on cslplasma.com. We also have our own Facebook page that we post our current promotions. They can also call us at the center and we'll answer any questions that anyone might have. So I just wanted to give our phone number, and that's 407-274-9671. And we're located at 160 North US Highway 1792 in Longwood. We also wanted to offer anybody that listens to the podcast and comes in because of that an additional $10 on their donation.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That is like the first time, I think, on the podcast we've had a special offer. That's great. Hey, and here's the deal. If anyone listening goes, not only will you get that $10, but I'll raise it too, is I will make you a grilled cheese sandwich as well, because that's what I'm looking forward to as well.
I like that.
Jenna, thank you so much for joining us today. Friends, you've been listening to Jenna Smith from CSL Plasma. And we really appreciate all that you're doing in your corner of the world to help us fight this COVID virus that has affected all of us in so many ways. Listeners, I would just join Jenna, I know Drew and Robin would as well, in encouraging you to help and to give back during this time. If we all do some, we're going to get to find a vaccine and a cure sooner. So please consider giving, and I can't think of a better way to give than reaching out to Jenna and the team at CSL Plasma. Again, thank you very much, Jenna. Wasn't that fascinating, Drew, as we heard from Jenna and the folks at CSL Plasma about this whole process that is really very simple, but is able to help a lot of folks. I was so impressed about their history and that over the last 100 years, how they have developed and grown and applied the science and made a huge difference in many lives. We know that science is very important. We also know that inspiration is very important to us. And Drew, as we prepare to close, I believe you've got some inspiration for us.
Yeah, Andy, I hope so. This is a quote from Lonnie Taylor, and no relation to me. She said this quote about hope. Hope can be a powerful force. Maybe there's no actual magic in it, but when you know what you hope for most and hold it like a light within you, you can make things happen, almost like magic. I know it's a little bit longer quote than we normally give. Let me read it again. Hope can be a powerful force. Maybe there's no actual magic in it, but when you know what you hope for most and hold it like a light within you, you can make things happen, almost like magic. I've been reflecting this week on the idea that hope is something that all of us human beings long for. We need the promise of something greater than the difficult circumstances that we find ourselves in. Maybe for you, it's hopeful for a cure for the pandemic. Maybe it's hopeful for relational restoration, a new job, whatever it is. Hope can be a powerful force. And my encouragement is to look ahead, look expectantly towards what is unknown, and with the certainty that when you place your hope in something greater than yourself, and especially something greater than the present day circumstances, you can move forward and you can know that you will be blessed and frankly, be able to make an impact to others. Hope can be a powerful force. Maybe there's no actual magic, but when you know what you hope for most and hold it like a light within you, you can make things happen, almost like magic.
Thank you for that, Drew. That was thoughtful and profound, and I hope that our listeners will hold on to hope this week. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the What's Up Castleberry podcast, a casual conversation about our community. This podcast is produced by Robin Kepke. Thank you, Robin. And for more information, please check out our website, Facebook page, Instagram, or podcast feed, all with the name What's Up Castleberry. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, and please rate and review us. Until next time, we hope you have a great, hope-filled week.